It's time for the Ella Johnson Show. Thanks for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show, where there are two sides to every story. Enjoy the broadcast. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. I am so very excited about tonight's broadcast. And this is not just going to be a tonight's broadcast, this is going to be a month-long series. Tonight is February 1st, and we are kicking off 28 Days of Purpose, Power, and Perspective. I'm your host, Ella Johnson, and I am so glad you're joining us for this journey. This month isn't just a look back, it's a look within and a look ahead. Every night, we're diving into our history, celebrating our current excellence, and mapping out the progress we're still building together. Listen, I can't tell you, I am so excited to have my friends join me tonight as we set the stage for the month ahead. Now, if you'd like to join us, please, by all means, let me know because we would love to have you. There's room. Now, tonight, we're having a conversation about the Tulsa Race Massacre and the Ocoee Massacre. We will address these tonight because they're not just stories of the past. When we look at modern day voter suppression or the racial wealth gap that exists today in 2026, we're looking at the smoke that is still rising from Ocoee and Tulsa. Now, we are here to honor those who survived, those who rebuilt, and those who are still fighting for the progress that was stolen. So I am excited. Are you guys excited tonight? Yes?
Yes.
We certainly are.
All right. I love it. That's what we want. If you're watching from Facebook, do me a favor and share the broadcast. That is so appreciated because the more viewers that we have, the more people hear and know about the Ella Johnson Show, and they're excited just like you are. Now, if you're watching from YouTube, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. I mean, you're already there, right? Yes. So I'm excited. Now, I told you guys, I went live like on Facebook earlier because I wanted everybody to get excited about tonight. Tune in. We are going to kick off this celebration off right. Are you guys excited? Yes?
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. Well, listen, I have joining us tonight. She is a friend. She is beautiful. She is Florida's very own international gospel artist, Miss Lolita Rowe. Lolita has prepared a couple of songs for us tonight so we can just get excited about Black history. This is a celebration. It's all on you now, Lolita.
Okay. And the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the tide is high. Your and your mama's good looking. So, little baby, don't you cry. Wanna be away singing, and then you spread your wings away, and fly to the sky. There's nothing that can harm you. Oh, when it's mama and daddy. You're gonna wake up singing, and then you spread your wings, and you take to the sky. There ain't nothing that can harm you. With mama and daddy. Grandma's hands clapped in church on Sunday morning. Grandma's hands played a tambourine so well. Grandma's hands used to issue out a warning. She said, Billy, don't you run so fast. Might fall on a piece of glass. Might sneaks in the grass. Grandma's hands. Grandma's hands soothe the local unwedded mother. Grandma's hands used to ache sometimes and swell. Grandma's hands used to lift her face and tell her. She said, baby, grandma understands that you really love that man. And put yourself in Jesus' hands, grandma's hands. Grandma's hands used to hand me a piece of candy. Grandma's hands picked me up each time I fell. Grandma's hands, boy, they really came in handy. She said, Maddie, don't you whip that boy. What you want to spank him for? He didn't drop no apple core. Grandma, come on anymore. I get in heaven, I'll look for my grandma's hand. Oh, grandma's hand. Thank you.
That was amazing. Of course, of course. Good job. Good job. Thank you so much, Lolita. Guys, well, listen, if you are just tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show, it's Black History Month here. And we're celebrating every single day this month. What you just heard was Lolita Rowe. She is an artist here in Orlando. She's an international gospel artist, and she just agreed to come on and just kick us off. Are you guys still excited? How did y'all enjoy that? Amazing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So remember to unmute you guys' phones, because I know we muted our to make sure that we let her sing. Okay. Well, we're going to jump in. Listen, it is one thing to study these events in a textbook, but it is another thing to live with the legacy in your own home and to do tours every day for Black Wall Street. Two of my guests, well, one is not here yet, but they're both straight out of Tulsa. Terry is a lifelong devoted resident of Tulsa, Oklahoma. He is also a sovereign citizen of the Muskogee Creek Nation. A proud father of 3 children, he is an ordained minister, entrepreneur, and a committed tour guide and historian for the Greenwood Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Backus, in his youth, was fascinated with the history of the Oklahoma oil industry. So he sat at the feet of older gentlemen where he would garner knowledge and chronicled stories of the history of Black Wall Street. Now, through those experiences, he founded and developed the Greenwood Avenue Project documentary, From the People, for the People. Now, you guys know that I posted that yesterday. That's on Tubi right now. But Terry is here. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, Terry. Yay!
Yay. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're anytime. Now, I'm going to go ahead and introduce her, even though she's not here. Our next guest would have been, she's a grandchild of a survivor of the Tulsa Race Massacre. Heather, who is also, she serves as the executive director of the Deep Greenwood Foundation, a descendant-led organization that's dedicated to preserving the 4 remaining structures on Greenwood directly connected to the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. Now, the DGF also focuses on certifying Greenwood descendants for potential future restitution. She was born and raised in Tulsa, has a personal connection to the area. Her grandparents raised 12 children in the Greenwood district. Now, both of these guys together, they have done an amazing job there over in Tulsa. Her grandmother is a certified survivor of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. They both carry what we need at Black Wall Street, the stories that weren't allowed to be in the news for nearly a century. They are the living bridge between the excellence of Greenwood and the progress we are making today. Welcome, Heather, if you should come in. Next, Paris is a native of Panama. He's an Afro-Latino thought leader and chaplain within the Orange County Correction System. He has spent his life breaking down barriers, fostering understanding, and empowering communities. He has earned degrees in theology and interfaith studies. His most notable accomplishment includes being a narrator for 6 documentaries. My friend is a tastemaker, an activist, and interfaith advocate. Yay! Welcome. Then I have Marsha. Marsha is a graduate of MCHS who lives in New York. She's a member of the Abu Dhabi Education Council. She's a graduate of Brooklyn College. She has been an educator for 21 years. She enjoys yoga, reading, writing, and exploring Black history. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. I'm so excited. I finally got you here, right? Yay!
I'm glad.
I know. Mark is a graduate of MCH. He's a graduate of Barry University in Miami. He's a retired U.S. Navy. He lives in Jacksonville, Florida, father of 3 sons, and he's a member of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Yay! So okay. All right. So welcome to all of my guests.
You're muted, Ella.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? We good?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I don't know. Maybe the cold's acting up over here. But listen, guys, I am so excited about this broadcast because it is very important for us to learn, understand our Black history. Not just to learn it, but to know how we can move forward and how we can use it to move forward and do better, right? This is not just about talking about what we've done. Talk about what we aspire to do next. Okay, so I'm excited. Now, tonight I told you we're going to start off with the Tulsa Race Massacre as well as the Ocoee. We're going to get started. Paris is going to give us some insight into what happened in 1920 with the Ocoee Massacre. That's right here in Florida.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction, Ella, and to my fellow co-hosts and anyone that's out there listening, and I hope that there are many. I'd like to just give you what I consider to be a brief outline or summarize this for the public. For many of us, we're only learning about the Ocoee massacre at this time, and many of us were ignorant to the fact that that these things did occur in history. None of us who happen to be of the Black persuasion would be surprised, but at the same time, to learn about these things and to learn about them in depth provides us with further evidence of some of the things that have gone on in history that just absolutely appall anyone who has any sensitivity. But in a nutshell, the Ocoee massacre was a violent white supremacist attack on Black residents of Ocoee, Florida, on election day in November 2nd in 1920. My mother was about 4 years old at the time. But this was aimed at stopping Black people. And what I've done is prepared something here that I'm going to be reading from. So I hope this does not detract from the message that it conveys. But this was done on election day, November 2nd in 1920. And it was aimed at stopping Black people from voting and driving them out of the town, which it, of course, was Ocoee, Florida. On election day, voter Mose Norman was turned away from the polls in Ocoee when he tried to exercise his legal right to vote. Tensions escalated after he sought legal advice and made further attempts to vote. This prompted white mobs to mobilize. That night, armed white men went to the home of his friend July Perry, a prominent Black landowner and community leader, looking for Norman. A firefight at Perry's home became the trigger for a large-scale attack on the entire Black community in Ocoee. Now, the immediate cause in terms of efforts by Black citizens, led in part by Mose Norman and July Perry, to vote in the presidential election despite threats and organized voter suppression. The attack on July Perry, a white mob surrounded Perry's house. Gunfire was exchanged. 2 white men were killed in the chaos, and Perry was wounded, arrested, then lynched the next morning. His body was hung and shot as a warning to other Black residents. White mobs, some reinforced by nearby towns, burned at least 20 to 25 Black-owned homes, Black churches, and a fraternal lodge, and laid siege to the Black neighborhoods throughout the night. The death tolls estimate, and these estimates vary. Historians generally place Black deaths from about 30 up to about 50 or more, making it one of the bloodiest days in modern American political history. Roughly the entire Black population, hundreds of people, fled Ocoee, leaving property and possessions behind. The town became an all-white sundown town for about 60 years. As an aftermath, by the 1930s, Ocoee's Black population had dropped to just 2 people, and no substantial Black community reemerged there until the 1980s. And I have other comments that I can make on that, but I will tell you this much, that for me, it was a revelation to go in and to get into the nitty-gritty of all of this. And I don't know that I'm certainly not surprised by it in terms of looking at it historically, because I'm aware of some of the other things that have been meted out to our people. But it's a good reminder for all of us to take note. There's a saying, if you don't learn from history, you're destined to repeat it. And the fact is that we as a people, we should use all of these things that we're bringing forth here as a measure of learning about ourselves, learning about our people, and making absolutely certain that these things are never visited upon us again. there is a saying, and I think I've repeated it before on your show, Ella, that the saying goes that you may come to us and you will find us pleading for justice, but you will never find us on our knees. We will be standing and fighting to make sure that it is never repeated. So that is what I have to say at this point. Of course, it goes into other things, and I'll be more than happy to participate in the conversation about this as we go along. I know that events in Tulsa and other places have been equally harrowing. There's absolutely no question about it, but none of this should surprise us, and it should mean that we should be very, 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 very wary and very, 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 how should I put this? We should be aware of all the events. When we hear certain things like, these things are thrown out as trinkets, but we have heard them in the media that there are thoughts of canceling the midterm elections in this country, and all of the attacks that have been going on, and the laws that have been changed to railroad the population. It's not meant to railroad the folks that are seeking to gain from this. It's made to keep Black, Latinos, anyone who is not of the highest order in power. And we must have unity of purpose. We must be united in all of this, and ours must indeed be a coalition that takes in all who understand that this is a threat to each and every one of us.
Yeah. So just for the record, guys, this particular massacre was the single bloodiest day in American political history. This one was. That's why I picked this one. But I also want to make it known that the history books, and they say that this was about voting. Oh, they didn't want them to vote. That's true. But I also want to bring your attention to another side of this. This was also about stealing their land. Okay? The catalyst, yes, was voting, but I think the underlying motive was the land. Well, Ella, why is that so important? Let me just tell you. In 1920, the land, there were 1 million farmers. I have these statistics here. This is alarming. 1 million farmers that had 15 to 19 million acres all across the country. I believe that is what happened, because that is what happened. In the end, right, Paris, when they took when they executed July Perry,
Right.
the other guy, his friend, got away.
Yes.
He got away. Yeah, he got away. He was able to get away while they were bombing Ocoee and killing everybody. He was able to go through the terrain because he was familiar with it, and he ended up at Judge Cheney. Now, this is
Judge
where
Cheney.
the Caucasian
Right.
picture.
Right.
He was for them. He told them, and Judge Cheney felt bad. I don't think he ever recovered from this. Why? Because that day when they went to vote and they were turning him away, he was like, I don't care. They were like, Judge, these people, they tripping. They said we can't vote. He said, you've done everything you need to do. You go back out there and you can vote. So they did what he said. Well, it cost them their life. And how they wanted to make Judge Cheney pay for it. Oh, you want to help them niggas, right? You want to help them? I tell you what we're going to do. When they lynched July, they did it right outside his window so he could see it. This is what you get in loving person. You see how the threat, the fear is put in people not to assist? He knew it was the right thing to do. But look at what it cost him. Now, Norman got away. He ended up going to Harlem. He settled in Harlem, and where he ended up dying, I think, in 1949. But the judge, after that, he lost his Senate seat. He didn't win again. They were like, oh, yeah, we got some for you. He did not win again. And he just his political career was over.
And of course, if I may interject here, of course, no one was prosecuted for the killings, the arson, or the theft of property. And all it did was just reinforce a climate of racial terror. And that's what they hoped to accomplish. And they did that.
Yeah, yeah. Guys, I want you to picture 1920. I showed those pictures because I wanted you guys to see what they were like in Ocoee. Blacks owned large citrus groves and valuable property. Now, I'm gonna just be honest with you. This is from my research what I learned. That the reason they wanted to steal their land is because they were prosperous. And if they were the kind of people that paid off their debt and paid it early, they became a target. They're like, oh, okay. So you got it like that. How dare you trying to show us up? See, that's what this underlying. I want you guys to get this. Don't miss this part in history to think that it was just a massacre. It was a massacre because there was something they wanted. There was something they feared. There's no way these black folks can make more money than we got. And now the reason I brought these stories together because they're one and the same. Now, no history says this was about voting, but I think it was about theft of land. Very similar to what happened a year later in Tulsa. So we're going to come back a little bit. I want to get both of these stories out of the way so we have time to answer questions. But now, Terry, I want you to take us to Tulsa. Talk to us about what started it and how that all ended up.
Well, first, I want to just thank you for having me once again, and the rest of the panel. It's a pleasure to be before you guys. I'm pretty sure most of y'all are familiar with the story now, what happened in Greenwood District, Tulsa, Oklahoma. But the story actually happened through the Trail of Tears. You know what I mean? Like when the Indian Removal Act of 1830 happened, for the most part, that was us coming in the Trail of Tears, you know. The narrative is it was Indian, but we all know who we are. We all are indigenous people of this land mass. So, but anyway, we get to Tulsa, we get to Oklahoma. There was a treaty that came about in 1866 pertaining to land patents and land allotments. And so, they begin to give land out. I know y'all just recently heard about Sarah's Oil, prime example. That young lady was 11 years old when she struck it rich, and she had oil on her 160 acres. Well, my family, my grandmother herself, she was able to get 160. I had an aunt get 80, but with those land patents, there was a lot of black townships, and towns came about, and so there was a network system into Greenwood, and so the first thing was also was oil money, and so we had professionals or doctors or lawyers. We had those in the district. We had infrastructure. People who was builders and carpenters and electricians and brick masons. We had those as well. But for the most part, we worked in the service industry. And for all those people that went across the tracks to work as butlers, maids, and that thing, they brought that money back into Greenwood. And so Greenwood grew because of that money. It didn't leave. The money stayed. Once that money came into Greenwood, it stayed, right? And they built Greenwood up. Well, by 1921, they was prosperous. They was living. They had a real community. They had movie theaters. They had so many churches. They had so many lawyers, doctor's office, grocery stores. They had whatever you needed in Greenwood, they had it, right? And so the story goes, there was a young black man by the name of Dick Rowland, and a young white lady by the name of Sarah Page. But I'm going to cut to the chase. After they burnt everything down, watch this. After they burnt everything down, everything in the Greenwood district down, that's Booker T. Washington High School, which was actually owned, the building was owned by the county. So they knew not to burn it. And there was a church called First Baptist North Tulsa, right? They said it looked too good to be a nigger church, and they didn't burn it down, right? And so after everything was destroyed, 3 months later, as the dust had settled, so to speak, Dick Rowland, he never went to court. He never went to trial. Sarah Page never made true allegations against him, right? But us in Greenwood, who care to know, we know this story, right? But the narrative is that he had done something to her in the elevator. Well, she they claim she recanted, but she didn't recant. She had nothing to tell them because it didn't happen as they thought it happened. And Dick Rowland was released from jail 3 months later. He got out of jail. Him and Sarah Page left Tulsa, Oklahoma together. They went and they left together. Yeah. Elsie Greenwood, they care to know. Everybody don't care to know that. But that's real. That's a true story. But the narrative is that he had done something to her. And the narrative comes from this. On May 30th, she had something to tell him when he got in the elevator because there was a building called the Drexel Building. And she worked the elevator. Now, if a white woman working the elevator, she's working. That went over your head. Right there. That went over your head. Why would they have a white woman in the elevator working where only blacks could go use the bathroom at anyway? And the bathroom was on the 4th floor, right? And he a shoe shine guy. So he's shining shoes. Shoe guys, they kind of knowledgeable to, what's going on in the streets. They're ear to the streets. They know what's happening. If a guy came and asked, hey, where can I find something? He knew where to send them, right? They hustling, getting tips. And so that day, he was on the elevator with her. He didn't want to hear what she had to say. And she thought she had something to tell him good. And he didn't want to hear it. So he left out hastily. When him leaving hastily, a store clerk seen it, right? When the store clerk seen it, him leaving hastily and her crying, the store clerk made the allegations, not Sarah Page. She didn't make the allegations. And so with that being said, they come and got him. Of course, there was an article that came out of Tulsa Tribune. The first article that came out was this, lynch a nigga tonight, right? But they got all the white mob hostile. So they went on down to the jailhouse because they ready to lynch him. But there was another one came out that said nab a nigga for attacking a girl in elevator, right? And so they come and got him. But as they came and got him, there were some blacks that fought in World War I, and they understood the Second Amendment. They had the right to bear arms. So they went downtown too. About 70 of these gentlemen. They went downtown, and so they didn't go to break him out of jail or nothing. Just make sure they wasn't gonna hang him. And what happened was a white guy tried to take a gun from a black that knew how to go, and shots rang out. And there you have it. They begin to fight, and they came back in Greenwood. They began to fight. Now this is in the evening time on May 31st. They begin to fight up until about like 2 in the morning, June 1st. But here's the thing: we was winning, right? We always win, no matter what. Academia, football, basketball, entertainment, hockey, track, boxing. We win. We find a way to win. And that's what we was doing. We was winning, right? But so the whites, they had a plan. And their plan was to deputize every available white person that wanted to do something to a black. And so by the time 5 in the morning came, there was a train that came down through that track that separated blacks and whites. It made the sound. So while we were sleeping and slumbering, that was their way to come in. And with that sound of the train, they came in, they attacked. I mean, every last one of the whites was deputized. And they came in and they began to attack whatever they wanted to do to a black person. They began to light fires in certain places. If they light fires and daybreak came, here come the planes with the Molotov cocktails. National Guard did come, but they didn't stop nothing. All they did was took the weapons and guns from black men and young black, youth, led them into internment camps. They had internment camps in Tulsa before they had internment camps anywhere else in the world. And so they led the black men into internment camps, and then they told, watch this. That's when they told the white mob, the National Guard did, all the men out of the internment camps, y'all can go do what y'all want to go do right now. And that's when the real terrible things began to happen. The molestation, and 9 months later, here come a lot of kids. That's why people just didn't talk about it. It was so much trauma. so much. And but the people rebuilt, though. That's the main thing. They rebuilt after that. They rebuilt. By 1925, the district was fully functioning as a city. It wasn't finished building, but it was functioning. They had the predecessor to the NAACP. I can't think of the committee came in and they had a conference there. And so they began to build, and the money was so good because Tulsa was the oil capital of the world, right? And they built it back up again. And it wasn't until the 70s, late 60s and the 70s that that the people came and the people came in and urban renewal, eminent domain, they tore it down once again. So everything you ever come to Tulsa right now, everything you see in Greenwood is not because of the massacre, the way it looked. It's because of urban renewal and eminent domain. And yeah.
So I will say this, Terry. I watched your documentary, so I took some notes from it.
Right.
And the people that when you were interviewing them, a lot of them, they were describing what Tulsa was like prior to this massacre, and they said that there was no homelessness, anything that you needed in the community, they had it. There was no need to go outside the neighborhood. That's a real Black Wall Street right there. Like the money circulated for like what 19 days or so before it went out.
The money circulated over 36 times in the community. The dollar never left. Wow. So here's the thing. That wino that stood in front of the corner store or whatever, he spent that same money that the richest man in Greenwood spent. That same dollar he had, that wino had too at one time or another, because the money never left. Everybody had money because of that. Like my family, right? Even after the massacre, my dad, he worked as a bail captain. They call him concierge now. Our mother didn't work or nothing, but we was upper middle class. He lived off tips. He took care of 6 children and a wife off of tips. There was so much money in Greenwood, so much money in Tulsa. And so that's the whole thing. The people, let me say it like this. It wasn't about the massacre that people didn't know about what happened. It was because the money was so good in Tulsa, they kept it suppressed. The powers that be, they didn't want the people to know that it was money like that in Tulsa. Now the Howard Hughes, they know that was in Tulsa. The Rockefellers, everything they owned was called Standard. So they had Standard Steel, Standard, the tycoons of the early 1900s that pushed this country into the age of an industrial engine. You follow me? It's good. I mean, it really was. Because you just think about this. All the major oil companies was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
All the major oil companies that was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? Every 6 months they was giving conventions. And just think about the upstart companies. It was so much money flowing.
Wow.
So the blacks, we went back to work. We went back being bus boys. We went back being, working across the tracks. So we had to build back up again.
Now, I want to address this comment that Crystal said, because this was also addressed in your documentary. She says Black people got tricked in integration and lost everything. And someone in your video, in your documentary, actually said that as well. They said that integration messed up everything for them. So I want y'all to jump in, Mark and Marsha. Talk to me a little bit about what you think about that as far as like integration. How do you feel about integration? Did that help us in this country? Because a lot of, of course, everybody integrated. Do you think that was a good thing for us or a bad thing for us? What's your position on that?
The statement made me think about my mother, who was teaching at the time of integration. And so she responded she talked a lot to me about what Black communities lost by integrating. And so, there were stores, we had our own restaurants, but, integration, everybody went uptown. Everybody went uptown to, what we had, a little town square, whatever, and started buying things. And then these things dissipated. And as far as education, which was one of her deep concerns, she was concerned about the quality of education. So there was there was obviously a lot of racism going on in the transitioning of Black teachers into the school systems, and a lot of I guess criticisms about their credentials. But what my mother said is, but Black teachers cared about kids. Maybe they didn't have all of the credentials, but that their white peers may have, but those people didn't care. They didn't care what happened to kids. They didn't care about special needs. So that's a part of my own journey, as I have worked with special needs kids. Well, anytime you're in any classroom, you're always going to be in contact with special needs children. But, the way, I'm sorry, I'm getting off task. But yes, we lost money, we lost our businesses, and our community suffered. Our community suffered, and it's continuing to suffer.
What are your thoughts on that, Mark? Integration. Mark, can you hear me? Is Mark on mute?
Yes,
Mark.
I can
Okay,
hear you.
okay.
Actually, I
Okay.
agree with our sister Crystal and Marshall.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. If you consider the power of the Black dollar, even back then, as strong as it was, I think integration was somewhat of an injustice to us. And even when you look at it today, I mean, the amount of money we spend on consumerism and just buying, materialistic things, we actually could survive on our own. And what it deals with mostly in my is we've always been able to pull ourselves up and make things happen regardless of what's going on around us.
Crystal
So
said
and that's one of the things that we're facing with today is economic inequality. But somehow I agree with our sister Crystal.
all right, because I want to definitely take. Hello, Heather. I see you there. I'm so glad.
Hello.
We introduced you, even though you weren't here, because I knew you were going to be here.
Yes, sorry.
But, that's okay. It happens. Listen, Crystal says we lost businesses and institutions. Now we don't even have Black funeral homes and churches anymore. 501c status has destroyed the Black church, and the lower group now controls what we think are the Black-owned funeral homes. Oh. Wow, interesting. Yeah. She says the Black teachers were not just teaching, they were invested in those communities. So whose idea was it for us to segregate? Whose idea was that? Like, did we ask for it?
No,
Well-
we wasn't planning. We wasn't planning to, desegregate. Like, we wanted to go live next to white people. You know what I'm saying? I heard Heather always say you might have a $30,000 home next to a $300,000 home in our community. That means that we really want to stay living and being next to each other, right? But we wasn't planning to be with the white community, right? We just wasn't. You know what I mean? We wasn't, but we was like she said, we was tricked. But it was like it's an old saying that went like this: that the white man's ice is better than our ice. We wanted to have our ice,
What does that mean? The white
it's
man's
so
ice
much.
is better.
That it means, that was just an old saying that people would say, meaning how we left our own, right? That we stopped supporting each other, You know, we wanted to go to J.C. Penney's. We wanted to go eat at Boardings. You know, we wanted to go do those sit-ins. Y'all remember this? They talked about the sit-ins. We wanted to go to the Boardings restaurant and see, but our food was just as great as their food, right? But I don't know what really, you know, made it. That was right. That was the era I was born in, actually, right? So, but I don't. I just, you know, I don't. I just can't.
So what do you guys think about? What do you guys
What-
think about Kathy? Kathy says that Ruby Bridges asked for it. She asked for it. This is the young lady that they had to usher her to school because she was the only black little girl that went to school, and they had all the cops that had to escort her to school. She asked for it.
I think
Well,
she asked for it because she was. I think she asked for it because she move into a white neighborhood.
I think that she was. I've read the story so many times, but I'm not. The origins were just this one little black kid. Like they were compelled by law to integrate. So, you know, they weren't going to let all the black kids come. So they chose this one black girl was chosen to integrate an entire school. You know, so they just wanted to sprinkle a black kid into a white school and call it integrated. I think that it's not that people wanted to, you know, be around white people, but we knew that black schools were inferior. We knew that black schools were utilizing textbooks that were hand-me-down, that were, you know, not fit for consumption, really. So they, you know, the desire was good to want to improve schools. And you know, black people, we are so dignified. Our minds, we are very high-minded people. So when we talk about segregation and the pursuit, in our mind's eye, I believe it was, okay, we'll come in and model for you how to integrate, because we are students, we are serious, and we are worthy. And so, you know, you could say it was, you know, like I said, black people were high-minded, but of course, our white neighbors were not. So people got slighted, even though they were in the schools, you know. And that's another thing my mother talked about in the course of her career, watching black kids get isolated, labeled, and deprived of the things that they deserved. That's all I want to say. I'm sorry, I don't want to hog that up.
I want Heather to jump in because she's just.
I just wanted to say, if I may, that and your points are well taken, Marcia. But I further to that, I would say that the whole concept of separate but equal, had it been implemented with any kind of integrity by those who were looking to make it a part of the landscape, so to speak, would have been just fine, because we've always had and we've always prospered once we knew what the rules were. But the fact is that for time immemorial, the rules have always been, shall we say, kind of gray. The rules work the way they are proposed, but if you take them as law, if you take them as a truth, you realize that later on it's sort of a bait and switch kind of situation, because we talk about, you know, separate but equal, we talk about integration, we talk about all of these different things, but true integration didn't happen when it was proposed, and it's still not happening today. So we need to be conscious of that fact. So what's the next step? I think that this whole thing, we are massive in terms of our numbers, and we can do that. And that is why all those who mean us no harm are very, very invested in keeping us apart. They don't want any part of any coalition. Anytime you start talking about a coalition of forces to counter what is, then all of a sudden you find that you're completely on the outside. But the whole idea becomes, okay, how can we get, when we look at everything and we read everything that's going on, don't be discouraged. Don't be downhearted. Don't feel. Remember that there are folks who came before us who fought through a whole lot more than we're going through today. But be committed.
Right.
Be committed and know that we've seen the worst before and we'll see the worst again, but we'll overcome that as well.
So I like what Crystal says, because I actually tend to agree with what she's saying here. I don't know if inferior might be the word I would use to describe our Black schools, because there are a lot of great educators and people that came from those schools. And she gives some of them here: Thurgood Marshall, Daniel Williams, Martin Luther King, those people. And I think that there wasn't necessarily the dependence that needed to happen. I think that we could have made them better, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that that's the problem, is they're like, wait a minute, we need to keep an eye on y'all. We need to make sure you only go so far. Because think about it, all this stuff, 1920, all that stuff, this land ownership, we weren't integrated then, right?
No.
So
No.
how did we obtain all that wealth without white folks?
Didn't
Think
have a
about it.
choice. Yeah.
How did we obtain so much wealth and intimidate them so much that's gotten them wanting to burn down our cities because they were so jealous?
Just a quick point. I think that we did all that because the rules were clear. And every time the rules are clear and we know what they are, we find a way to succeed. It is as simple as that. It was very, very, very clear back then. I mean, go back and take a look at, Jack Johnson and the times that he lived through and some of the other things that went on that were glorified for that period. And you realize that we did learn how to live under those conditions. They weren't ideal. They were not, the greatest thing in the world, but we learned how to live under that and prosper. And this is the thing that if that's why I said if we had separate but equal, then we would really have something then. Because if you could be looked at as a human being, as a person of worth and with value, and it was equal to that of your counterparts, then we would thrive. We would still thrive, because people have tried. We were brought here against our will, and we survived. And those of us that survived are those who learned to get along. Because I'm quite sure that we can either name or speak to the thousands of brave people who stood up and said, well, I'm not going to stand for this. And you know what it got them? It got them hung. It got them shot. That's exactly what it did. But the rest of us learned to get along. We learned to play the game the way it was. And if you're given a clear set of rules, you can function. And the matter is being grayed and the waters are being muddied even today, so that you don't know what you're voting for, you don't know what you're doing, and the message is never clear. It is never, ever clear.
So let me ask you guys a question. Do you think I want to put a picture here in front of all of you, and I want all of you to give me your response on this. If they said, okay, Black folks, y'all go to y'all side and we'll stay over here and just figure it out, would we be able to bring back Greenwood?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yes.
You think we'd be able to work together? We would be able to support each other's businesses? You think so? I want everybody's opinion on that.
I think we would.
Yeah.
I'm interested in reparations, and I feel like, sure, a land, granted, I'm assuming you're talking about like division of land, So if there was a division of land and, Black people had theirs and whatever other communities had theirs, that sounds ideal. But I think we are well within our rights to demand that we be given a fair shot at success by having a replacement of what was taken. Now they cannot replace what was taken over, several hundred years of slavery, but we can talk about what are the things that the Black community should have as a result of the oppression of our people over these many years. So yeah, healthcare is a right. Every one of us should have it. We should all have the opportunity to go get as much as we need all day long, not have to worry about what it costs. As you said, the land grant, important. Schools, funded completely. And I mean, everyone to pursue to their greatest desire. You want to be a doctor? Go be a doctor. If you want to be a whatever, a scientist, anything, go do it. That is what your ancestors paid for you with their sacrifice they made. So, yes, but let there be the stipulation that we pursue reparations in some measure. They cannot repair it. They cannot replace it, but they must make an effort. There are things that they can do to help the descendants of the people that, they exploited.
Very well said.
And
Mark,
I think I
Mark,
think
I want Mark to chime in. I don't want you to think that you're not part of the conversation. Chime in whenever you want. Because Paris will just run with it. I'm telling you. This brother right here, what? He will run it. I'm telling you. I love you, Paris. He's just so passionate. So I just want to make sure that you can jump in. But go ahead, Paris. What were you going to say?
what I was about to say is that the full intent, if we had a level playing field, if we had people of integrity who dealt with the subject, yes, we would do extremely well. Yes, we would be in a position to exceed all of the expectations of anyone that's out there. But the fact is, being a little bit older, I now fight the battles that I think I can win. And when we talk about reparations and things like that, I ask you all to take a look at the landscape of America. Do you honestly think that anyone would even entertain doing that at this time? I'm not saying forget it, but I'm saying, do you think that they will? So now I focus on
doesn't sound like it. Doesn't sound like they're interested in it right now.
No. So I think that what we need to do is to unite, focus on the battles that we can win. I think that we should use our voting power for as long as we can have it before it is replaced by a situation that would be untenable for not just us, but for a lot of other people. And I think that we should, and fighting the battles that we can win, I mean, having us join together, have us put together the things that we can do for ourselves within our own communities, and be completely committed to that. Because I am not poo-pooing the whole idea. I do believe that reparations and all of the rest of it that goes with it is a wonderful ask. But I don't believe that those who have anything to do with it, as badly as they've treated us before, will give. And so I have a much more sober view of all of this. And I hope I'm not bringing anyone down with this, but it's just that I've been disappointed a little bit more than most of you. So I know what is being done, and I don't want to raise my heart up. I want to be level-headed in what I'm looking at, but I want to win the battles that we can win.
I want to address some of the comments, guys. This subscriber said, an economist said that if all the blacks in America formed their own country, it would be the 20th richest country on earth. Crystal says, learn the rules, get in the game, play the game, master the game, change the game. I like that. That's so true. That's so true. Dr. Felicia says, bring back Greenwood. Interesting. Yeah, realistically, reparations is not the answer. Okay.
I just feel like,
So
how do you know you can't win unless you're fighting that fight? You know what I'm saying? Because the Cherokee Nation, they won their suit against the federal government. Who won? I mean, what an outrageous thing to do. But she won. I mean, I don't remember which committee. I think it was Cherokee, but I can find her name though. This woman decided it was time for the United States to make good on what they said. And they were being, they were, and there was oil in that area too. I don't know. It could have been Oklahoma. I'm not sure. But she stayed in it. Of course, they kept her in this fight until she died. But Barack Obama signed it. I'm telling you, when you take on a fight, I mean, that's what we're made of. We've been fighting the whole time. No,
I agree with you, Marsha. I'm with you. I'm ready.
You don't know you're gonna win it. You fight it because you deserve it. That's all.
That's right. Be true to what you said on paper. That's right.
Yeah, that's why it's so important that we continue to put this type of information out about Black history. That way the youth gets involved, because there's no reason why we as an indigenous people should give up on anything that we're trying to get in regards to what was done to our ancestors in the past. In no way should we give up, in any way, none whatsoever. Because it's old, and if you ask me, it's the biggest unpaid debt that America owes us. It is.
So what if I'm on the reparations committee right now, Heather? If I'm on the reparations committee, I want you to answer this one. And you come to me, sell me on why Black people should get reparations.
First and foremost, it's old. I think that when we look at Native Americans and the way that they were able to get what they have now, is based on the fact that they're considered a sovereign nation. So the treaty was based on that being a sovereign nation. In some ways, we may need to think about going down that avenue. The other thing is, we're like Native Americans. Hispanic community is the same way. We're communal. We're communal people, but our kids have been trained here lately to be individualistic. And we've got to change their mindset back to, we have to be one together. And I'll give you a good example. I had a teacher some years ago that got mad that we were having to do all this, help these kids with homework after school. She was really ticked off about it. And I said, you know that these kids' parents are not going to be able to help them with some of this work they have. We pay you to do this work. And she was a Black teacher, and these were Black students. And she said, yeah, I know. But I said, so you get paid to do this. You have to. I said, just think about it this way. When a slave master sold the mama away from her kids, who do you think took care of those kids? And she was like, yeah, you're right. So we've got to get back to taking care of our kids and thinking back more about being communal, because that's the nature of our beast. And that's I think our kids have become so individualistic. It's not helping our future because they're thinking like white kids, and they can't do that in this society. And so reparations, as far as I'm concerned, reparations can come without just a check, a big check. There's things that we wrote in restitution where we want the city to take taxes away from our community for a certain amount of time. There's ways we can get reparations without them saying, well, I can't pay you $150,000. There's some other ways you can pay us.
There are other ways. I want to address this. I want to address this because this is what I love about Crystal. She's always going to throw that thing in there that you're like, She said white people are not against reparations because they know we will give them every damn dime, right?
That's the truth. That's the truth. We'll get it down.
That's how we could win. Because reparations is not us taking from them. It's like it's not a paycheck. It's about leveling the playing field. It's about making sure we can go to college if we want to go to college. It's about, the thing is, it's like a rising tide lifts all boats. I know nobody believes that, but I believe it. I just believe that if this community, instead of oppressing, made avenues clear. Like, we just want everything cleared even. We're not even asking you to restore us. It's like, just make it even. Stopping us. Stop, like I said, it's not just a check, but yes, stop preventing us from formulating our businesses, from growing them. Open the door. What did James Brown say? I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Open up the door. I get it myself. That's
right. Listen, guys, it sounds like part of what everybody is saying is that there's something that we got to do too. So let's address that. Being communal is a terrible idea. Being familial is the key. The community enslaves us. The community only takes to build. The community only takes to build it. The community becomes the importance, just like Babel's Tower.
Communal and familiar is pretty much kind of the same thing. The difference is communal is outside your household. You have to be communal with other people in the community. And we have to remember that in some ways, slavery trained us to be communal too. So when the husband was getting beat and they had everybody to stand there and watch, the whole purpose was to make sure we didn't do that wrong again ourselves. So we've always, you think about when Black people get in. I saw a white man on TikTok the other day say that he was running from the police and the white folks was helping the police get him caught. And then he ended up running into the Black community and all of the Black people was telling him which way to go. We think like that because that happens to us, whether we right or we wrong. And so communal is no different to some degree than familiar, being a family member.
Crystal says the greatest oppressors of Black people now are other Black people.
Yes.
That we repeatedly re-elect and appoint over as just because they are Black. Now, I'm glad she said that, because what I was going to say when we did this separation, like, okay, Blacks go over here and whites go over here, the first thing came to mind, what are we going to do about the church when we get back together? Because it's nothing like it used to be, Paris, right? It's nothing like it used to be. It used to be the cornerstone of our community. That used to be where we went whenever anything went wrong in our community. We went to the pastor. We went to the church. They always had a way. They knew the community leaders. They knew the people at the courthouse. They knew the people in the schools. They knew exactly who to call to make sure that situation got under control. But now that's no longer existing. Is that something we need to fix first? I want all of you to answer that one. Crickets. I know nobody wants, but listen, are we ready for reparations? Are we gonna do the right thing with it if they gave it to us? Are we gonna mismanage it? This is what I'm talking about. There are things that we gotta fix to be able to receive it. So talk to me. Are we ready? What do we need to do that?
First of all, what's the wrong thing with getting money? What could be wrong about getting money? What could be wrong about spending money? You know what I mean? Could you just ask, are we going to do the right thing with it?
Yeah.
What's the wrong thing? What's the wrong thing? So
like 20,000.
Just give it to us, right? That's the thing. Just give it to us. Whether we're going to do right or wrong by it, it's owed to us, right? We deserve it.
It's definitely owed
to us. So
just
give it to us. Like, if I got it myself, like my children gonna have some money, I'm gonna have some money. We're all gonna just have some money. But is that gonna stop us from going to school and getting educated because we got money? Is that gonna stop us from going to work at McDonnell Douglas or American Airlines because we got some money? Right? No. So just give us the money. That's how I look at it for me, and what I could do with the money and make things happen for for my family and, those who are around me,
Like
my
Crystal, why do you
community.
say the black
and, you
Crystal?
know,
Why do you say the black church is a useless institution, Crystal? Church is not churching as back in the day. See, they agree.
Well, one thing I can say about the church that I think we need to pay close attention used to be that the pastor was probably one of the only few people educated in the community. Now, the majority of a large number of people are educated in the church, so they can think for themselves and they don't have to have the pastor to tell them some things that they need to know. I think the church could be a vital, important piece to our community.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to literacy for our children. I think the Black church has always been more than just talking about religion.
Right.
And I think that's one thing that they've lost is making sure that kids come in at church, they can read, they can write, they can do arithmetic. And those are the things that I think hurt us more than anything is our kids don't have a foundation and those things that would help our future and help with generational wealth and run. I put this in a video not too long ago. We're about to lose a lot of kids to the penal system because of the reading scores. And so if we wanted the church to be a better institution, we need church members to demand that their pastors bring programming in for kids, especially our youth.
And make sure they don't rape them when they bring them.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just keeping it 100.
Or we could, Ella, we grew up in a church that Miss Odom compelled the church to be politically active. So maybe the church doesn't have to do it all, or the church can, but I'm just saying that we had community organizers in our community. They didn't have to be in the church either. They didn't have to be a part of the church. We opened the doors and the community organizer came in and said what they said. We need everybody to, whatever, register to vote, do what they got to do, all these things. I mean, and these are things that changed our lives. So we don't have to speak from a position of, downtrodden. They were very successful. People came into churches and organized us for all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful. And my church in Atlanta, I still think of it as my home church, even though I'm in New York now. But churches can continue to be a great institution. And I do hope, we have all this, we have the internet, we have media. And so people are attending church in different ways. It's a great institution and it can do more. And we can demand it. If we're a part of it, we can be the change.
So let's say without reparations, we still need to do these things. Let's just agree on that. Yes? Without reparations. Because I think we got to do that first. We got to put ourselves in a position to receive.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll make right decisions. So the purpose of this show tonight, guys, and this entire month is to educate everybody about Black history. What do we expect them to do with it, Heather? When we give all this information, I mean, we've done our research. All of you guys we got a lot of stuff planned out for the next 28 days. What do we want them to do with it when we come on here and teach it?
We got to give them the tools to apply it. So we just can't give people information and think they're going to do it. You talk about education or being literate. I watch kids with not social media, but just using technology. Our children use technology the wrong way. They can't go to the computer and write a paper for a report, but they can go on YouTube and they can look their daddy's fractions up. And so we've got to train our kids on how to use the technology for the right things. We've got to make sure our kids know math so they know the backside of how a computer and a cell phone is made too.
Let's talk about some real conversations. What about those kids that don't go home and their parents are there? That's real.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about this all day, but some kids, that's just not their reality. What do we do? Who do we go to? Because we used to go to the church and then the community leaders and everybody would get involved and wrap around that child and the community would take care of it. You got nothing to eat, baby, come to my house. I'll fix your plate, take one home to your mama.
Mhm.
That was what community does. But
Yep.
now we're so far removed from that.
That's right.
How do we get back to that? Because I don't see us surviving being separate if we don't get back to our core values. I don't see us doing it.
Well, I know
Reparations
we
are
need
not.
I know we need funding, so one thing we're gonna definitely have to do is prioritize how we spend our money. We make all other races in this world rich. We're $1 trillion business for other people, so we're gonna have to figure out how to prioritize that money to go toward after school programs for kids that we catch that fall through the cracks because they don't have a family to that family support. But churches are gonna have to prioritize that as well. But I think that if we redirect our money and stop buying Louis Vuittons and Coach purses
Oh,
and maybe get a Chevrolet instead of a Lexus, we might.
now what's wrong with Lexus? Reach
Well,
hands.
I'm
Say
just saying,
another
how
one.
can we help our community get better? Because collectively, we struggle in this country.
Yeah, and Doctor, thank you for acknowledging that parents and communities are not available. My heart breaks when I see these kids on social media. They're making these videos, and nothing against entrepreneurship as a child, but what happened to these kids that are wearing these sexy clothes and
Mm.
you're parading them in front of videos and like I just can't see us as kids, Marsha. We all grew up in Monroeville, Alabama. There's no way.
Yeah, no.
There's no way.
Yeah, no, it's
You know what I'm
funny.
saying? So, like, what happened to that? Like, where did we go wrong? Because we can't blame all of it on what happened in 1920.
Right.
1920 happened. This is just so you'll know and understand that some of these policies that they're implementing is to get us back to that. So this is why we need to be aware, not just stop with that, but for us to, okay, guys, if there was ever a time that we need to work together, it's now. We need to take shows like this and yeah, Paris, you look like
What I wanted to draw a reference to is I was honored to be on a panel that you had on one of your shows with the Black Panther Party. Okay. And some of the things that they've done in the community and what they're historically been able to do in Black and low income communities. And I believe that uniting all of these different factions, all the Black Panther Party, all of the local communities, et cetera, and banding them together in one cohesive group would make sense. Because, for example, right now we have situations where folks are saying that folks are going to when the elections come, if they do come, during the midterms, we're going to have ICE forces out on the lines to discourage people from voting and things of that ilk. By the same token, we've had situation where members of the Black Panther Party and others have shown up with their arms, and there's not been a confrontation, but just to let folks know that we're not going to be intimidated. So the thing is, we need to bring all of these together, and we need to find one voice. And it doesn't matter who is the head or who is not the head. And we've talked about Martin Luther King and all of these other folks, that historical figures that have meant a lot to our communities. But there are new ones out there, and we need to hear those voices, and we need to bring them in, and we need to hear what they've got to say that can help us in this whole thing here. And I don't know effectively how that can be done, except at the grassroots. We have to start somewhere, and it's got to be a situation where it's each one tell one, and bring them along.
Because I probably wouldn't pick some of the people that are out there now. I'm going to be honest. I probably wouldn't pick them. I would be looking for something totally different. Our standards have dropped, and we need to raise our standards again, because what they were able to accomplish in 1920, we don't come close to that now.
Correct.
and they had so much less to work with. I want to address something because I don't like to leave anything to chance. This Lamas person is posting that they're held hostage or something like that. Please inbox me on Facebook and tell me what's going on with you for real, because I don't want anything to happen and we just don't address it. So if you're in any kind of danger, please, if you're able to call 911, please do that. I don't know what your situation is. I just ask God in the name of Jesus right now to watch over you, keep you safe, and get through this situation, whatever it is. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I saw the comments coming up about someone that's being held hostage, and I don't like to leave anything to chance. But God, please go. In
Yeah,
this
if not, if
yeah.
yes, Ella, if not mistaken, she posted that she was held hostage, and it was
Oh.
some radio figure at 97.9 in Houston, if not mistaken.
Oh, okay. Oh, and they want to talk about it. Okay, well, hit me up.
Yes.
Let's see what we can do. Because we have to validate everything. But yeah, let's talk. Please inbox me. So somebody said, what is 304? I don't know. What is 304, Crystal? Crystal said that Crystal is from Monroeville as well, guys. She's one of my friends and very, very.
304 is
This right here.
What?
HOE, right? HOE.
Okay,
So-
got it. I got it.
That's an old code, so we got pagers. You got pagers at HOE. Yeah. That's what 304 is. So she's
Oh.
saying we raised in 304. You know what I mean?
So what?
You know.
Something's going on with your phone, Terry. You might need to come out, go back out, and come back in. Something's wrong with your phone. You're like talking like you're underwater.
Robot,
So
yeah.
we can't understand anything you're saying. So do me. I'm gonna take you off. Just go out and come back in, okay? All right. So all right. Let's get back to our conversation, guys. So I think that tonight, these two stories. Let's get back to that. Tulsa Accord. Do you agree, Paris, because I know you brought the Accord story to us today, that there may be a twofold reason for this massacre, that it wasn't just about voting, that it was actually because they wanted to steal the land?
I believe that the voting situation was a red herring and something that was convenient to be used as an excuse for why this came to be, because it was a much more palatable story to tell than the deeper and more distasteful look at what the real reasons were. And none of the folks that left and none of the folks that were driven, that had to leave and got out of there, who left all of their possessions and their lands and everything else behind, that couldn't be put forth as the real reason for it, because then they would be en masse. So it was easy to put forth the whole idea of, well, it was just attributed to voting and this and that and the other. No, I do agree with you. My sense is that this was just a land grab and a wealth grab, to grab the area, it was looking too good and everything else. And please don't be dissuaded into thinking that should we achieve what we're talking about today, which is a unanimity of purpose, that we will ever, and if we are fortunate enough, and by God's grace we will, if we were to create such a utopia for Black people in this country, don't imagine that it will not be defiled, that folks won't come after it as well, in many, many, many different ways, except that now they have much more unique ways of doing that, let's say.
Oh, there we go.
Okay,
Yes.
because it'll just seep into everything. In the 60s, they were able to infiltrate many different parties and so forth and so on, and all the rest of it. So we know that it's going to come. But if we remain completely committed to the core principles that we hold as black people, brown people, yellow people, if we hold to that core, then we'll be able to repel anything else that comes. But we must be prepared.
I like this conversation, this comment. Crystal says, absolutely, a financially literate, economically empowered, and well-armed people cannot be easily conquered. They wanted the land and oil in and near Tulsa. Yeah, that's exactly it, guys.
Yes,
and let me tell you
absolutely.
what their
Absolutely.
tactic was. They ran people off intentionally from their homes. Lynchings, arsons. They did all of that on purpose. It was intentional, just so they can leave and abandon the property, and they seize it.
Well, there are many texts that describe lynching as an economic tool, not just we hate this black guy, or we need to lynch this. It's not, like an opportunist violence that is opportunistic. There's data that talks about how men who ended up being lynched tended to be owners of things, tended to be business people, tended to be prosperous. So it wasn't just like, some hambone walking down the road, they turned off the wrong road and here they are, although that probably did happen. It was very intentional. So we don't have to, act like that's mysterious. Lynching was an economic move. And so Ida B. Wells discussed that. And I want to say slavery by another name. I don't know. There's other texts that talk about, oppression is economically viable. I mean, what's happening right now is a money grab for the institutions that incarcerate. Okay, they don't care about people being legal. They're snatching random people off the street because we have an administration that it's all a money grab. So we all, everything they're doing. I mean, this dude is like looting the United States Treasury. I had a friend who's in law school right now who had to do research that required her to go into the website at the United States Treasury. Honey, is a line up there that says, "No, we are not open." She cannot get any. As a citizen, you cannot get any information about the U.S. Treasury. What does that tell you?
Oh wow!
Depression is
takeover.
Is money.
Takeover, money grab.
Yeah, it's all.
Wow. So is that
when
your
you look
issue?
at it? When you look at it on a larger scale, racism has always been lucrative for the oppressor. Racism has always been lucrative for the oppressor. Always. That's the system.
Definitely.
It was designed that way.
Definitely. 1000%. Crystal says welfare, integration, women's lib movement, hijacked the civil rights movement, and drugs are the four horsemen that killed the Black community.
Along with, I'll add to this, along with, I think, white liberals. I think a lot of times we think of them as allies, and I think sometimes that their intent is good, but it's not helpful for us. And we need to learn that they have a lane, and their lane is to change their people's behavior, but it's not. I think that's the reason why desegregation happened too. White people, they get in to help us, and they give us more help than we need. I ask somebody for water and they give me pop. I'm frustrated. That's what happened to us in desegregation. We got a little bit more, and it became a disaster even for them, because now they're frustrated that Black kids with these low reading and math scores are coming into their schools and lowering their numbers. And now they're on the list for the Title IX month, not Title IX, but the other, I can't think of the title number it is. But I think that white liberals have not been a benefit to us to some degree too. And Stephen Biko said it best. We got to be careful with white liberals. because they speak for us when we don't need them speaking for us. We need them to do the work for their people.
What about us speaking for them sometimes?
Well, we do that all the time. We breastfeed their babies.
I know. But I mean, like, I want to talk about this since we brought it up about what's going on in the streets of Minneapolis and all of that. Is this something, and I want all of you guys to tell, I want Mark to answer this one. Is this something that we need to concern ourselves with, Mark? And if so, why?
Could you repeat that, Mark, Ella?
Okay, what's going on in Minneapolis with ICE and how they've just kind of taken over? Is this something that we should be, I mean, because it's not really, I don't see a lot of us out there being the ones that they're looking for. Should we get involved with that or not?
In my opinion, we should be involved in a sense of awareness. That's it.
Yes.
Right here from where we stand. On the computer, putting our information out, whatever comments we want to make. But on the forefront, hell no.
Exactly.
Hell no.
I agree. I don't think that's our fight.
This is racism. If you ask me, this is racism reflection of itself. Finally coming to the home front for white people to really see themselves. That's what this is to me.
And they love to say, this isn't America. This isn't who we are. The hell you say, yes, it is.
Yeah, it ain't
That's
their
what
reality.
I see. Yeah, right? Well, our history book told us different. No, over here, you remember when you did it in 1920? And you did it in 1921? And you did it in 1960? Yeah, we have a whole line of things that you did. So, yes, I'm sorry. I have to disagree with you on that. Yes, this is who America is. Y'all don't like that, but that's what America is. So I don't agree. What about you, Terry? Do you think that we should be involved in ICE and all that mess that's going on in Minneapolis and Florida and different cities that they're coming to?
No.
Uh-oh.
No. No. No.
No.
He said no.
No.
We heard
It's not
that
our fight. It's not our
one.
struggle.
Fight.
No.
What about you, Paris? Do you think?
Well, I have a little bit of a different perspective because among all of the Latinos that were, notice we're not picking up any Europeans. I have a little bit of a different perspective simply because I am Black and I am Latino, and there are a lot of Black Latinos that are now being rounded up soundly, and they will also help to fill the jails that are being built, the modern facilities that will house thousands and thousands of people. So I do feel it's one of those things that's why I say that you need a coalition, and the coalition should involve all oppressed people. I know that there are a lot of Latinos, and I would say from what we've seen, Cubans in particular, especially in the area of Miami, who saw themselves as white and joined the winning party of the last election, and who are now regretting that, and they're crying crocodile tears, and very, very upset at the betrayal. And part of me wants to laugh at the whole thing. The other part of me says, what did you expect? But I think that we can't lull ourselves. Many, many, many years ago, when I was in college, I wrote a paper on the Black Latino Coalition. And I felt that at the time, if you put the two together, it would comprise about 25% of the United States. And today the number is even higher.
Yes, sir.
And I think that in numbers, you have power.
That's right.
And I think that there's a lot of common things between us. And yes, everyone talks about the differences between, their music is different, they do this, they do that. But we're still, look, in Black homes and in Latino homes, rice and beans are still things that you can find and enjoy, okay? And fried chicken is welcome in both. Okay, so I think that I have a little bit of a different view about it because I feel very strongly about being Black, but I also can't ignore the fact that I am Latino by birth, if you want to put it that way. My folks, my forebears were dropped off a little before the folks were dropped off in America, what is now America. But my attitude is a little bit different.
Okay,
Yes, go ahead.
so what about Latinos for Trump? Let's talk about them because they had a whole movement. It's difficult for me to, I don't want to say care, but it's difficult for me to now be concerned about their fight. They need to figure it out now.
I say that those who were so very forceful should stew in their own juices. Okay, they should look.
Roll in it, everything.
That's right. You. This is what you bought, and this is what you've got, and I have no sympathy for them, and they know that I have no sympathy for them, because the organizations and other Latino folks that I speak with, they know that I am not going to be a willing ear to hear their plight at this point in time.
So, since voting was part of the Ocoee situation, let's address that too, because that's an issue going forward right now in this country, guys. I don't know if people realize what Trump and this administration is up to when it comes to voting. I know that he is, I want to give you guys just a tidbit of it. They want very strict photo ID. If I show my ID and my address is wrong, that might kick me out if it's different than what my real address is. If my name doesn't match my birth certificate, that could possibly mess me up. In my case, it would, because legally, well, on my ID, my name is Ella Campbell, but my birth certificate says Ella Johnson. Now, I am divorced, but I never changed it on my ID yet. So I would be a problem when I go to vote, according to Trump. They're trying to get this, what do you call it? RCV thing. I have it written down somewhere. They're trying to get this RCV thing where you vote for your first candidate, second, and third. Did y'all hear about this already? Where whoever you vote for first, and then if your person doesn't win, your vote goes to the next person or something like that. So you would ultimately elect someone that you didn't really want. Isn't that some stuff? And see, most people don't know this because we're so caught up in this immigration mess. We need to find out what they're trying to do with our voting rights, civil rights. These are the things, because they are not playing. The reason this show is so important is because it's showing you that history is going to repeat itself if we are not careful and wise and getting the right people in office and not hiring people just because they're Black. Make sure that we're hiring people, that we're electing people that have our best interests. Now, how do we find out that? How do we find out if our candidate, let's say Jasmine Crockett, for example, she's very popular on the Democratic ticket, right? She's very popular. We all know of her, but do we know what she stands for? And I'm just asking. Paris, I'll start with you. Do we know what she stands for? What is it that she wants to do for us?
Well, I don't think that has been. I know of the young lady and I respect her. I like everything that I see and hear about her, but I think that I've got a little bit of due diligence to do there in terms of anyone that I would consider for further office in this country. And I agree with you. We all need to devote ourselves to finding out more about people, but I think that here, where you have a grassroots situation where you start in your community and you know the people that are there, and you can have town halls and things like that where you can address some of these people and find out what they really stand for, is going to be beneficial to us all the way around. As I said, I've everything that I've heard or seen about Miss Crockett. I love it. I especially love those snippets where she takes people down who are not mindful of the Constitution, and I love that. But does that mean that we see eye to eye on all issues? Probably not.
That's theater. That's nice. That's cute.
That's true.
But that's not going to get us where we need to be.
Correct.
And that's where I like to focus. I don't want to get caught up in someone that entertains me. I want to make sure that when I vote for Ms. Crockett, not saying I wouldn't if I were in a situation to, I just want to know what you stand for. And I don't want to hear about Trump. I already know who he is. And someone came on the broadcast here and they said, Trump's the best thing that happened to this. I can't even repeat it. See, it just can't even come out of my mouth. That's why, Heather, I just can't say Trump. It's too bad. I mean, listen, that's their opinion, and I'm not going to bash anyone's opinion that comes here on the show. However, we just need to find out what it is that we believe in, and we need to vote for that person. We need to start it. The time is out for being loyal to people.
You just because they're black.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I like Jasmine. You didn't even give me, you couldn't even tell me what she stands for, but you say you like her. That's the problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times we get in, you mentioned theatrics, and I think a lot of times, and I might get beat up for this, a lot of times black women do a good job of being theatrical when we need them to just tell the plain truth, get the details of what you're talking about. Like, you're mad at Trump, but what is he done that we need to know that's in the system that we have to fix? And I think the problem is a lot of times they're not talking about the system that we have to fix. They're using our emotions to get us all riled up. And she ain't said nothing. I'm gonna be honest, half the time I can't listen to her because it's too much of the Black Power stuff going on. I need you to tell me what's happening at the Capitol.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm a fan. Okay. I'm a fan.
I don't want to just be a fan. I want somebody that's going to make
what
a
I'm
difference.
a fan of is the fact that she speaks truth to power. And whatever, if you don't like the head rolling or whatever, that's stylistic, and it doesn't matter. There's a lot of people that
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that.
But I'm saying that when she goes into a committee hearing, she's telling them. And she uses her own vernacular. So I like it because I'm a Black woman. And if she wants to go in there and speak from the vernacular that I recognize, I'm with it. I mean, maybe some people want her to go in and dot her I's and cross her T's. And, she's got a law degree. She's as qualified as anybody in there. And
Absolutely.
she's already been a judge. She's done a lot of things. So she can extend her pinky or not. And if she wants to roll her neck, or if she wants to, like I said, speak in the vernacular of her youth, because I'm an elder, right? I'm an elder now. So if she's speaking in the vernacular of her youth and standing up to white legislators saying the things that nobody else is saying, I'm all for it.
I'm good with that. I'm talking about
I ain't talking about
in
that.
front of the camera and you tell me that Trump is doing this and he can't do this, he's not following his Constitution, but he's still doing it, then I need to know why. Because I'm getting mixed messages. Either he can or can't do it. But if he can't do it, why is he doing it? Why aren't we stopping it?
Exactly. And that's the thing. I think that's the argument right there is a lot of people, the stuff that Trump is doing, he can't do. It goes against the Constitution. The average person doesn't even understand that. The only reason why he's getting to do what he does is because the system is for him, because it's majority Republican right now and they're scared of him. So they're allowing a lot of this stuff that happened that's totally illegal. The problem is we got this fight in the street with in Minnesota, and that has taken away the attraction from Trump's doings, which has to do with Minnesota too. But we've got to know that what they're allowing him to do is totally illegal. He shouldn't have been able to tear down the east side of the White House.
But he did it. And nobody stopped it.
And he did it without Congress
in a bunker. That's what he's doing. Yeah, it's
and
absolutely
that's the fight
illegal.
that we need. Jasmine, I don't care about her vernacular. She can talk. I'm going to talk the way I talk. Me and her talk similar. I'm not going to give that up for nobody. I'm not going to code switch in that way. But what I am saying is Jasmine Crockett needs to be a little bit more vocal about the legal things that the Congress is allowing this man to do. That's the part that she needs to educate the community about. And she's a lawyer. She should be able to do that.
That's all I'm saying. Good
I
point,
think
Crystal.
she's
Fannie
doing
Lou
great.
Hamer wasn't
She has my
Okay.
total support.
okay.
Yeah, I think she's doing great, and she has my total support, and she's well on her way. I
So what
really
exactly
do.
is she doing that has impressed you,
Nothing.
Mark? I mean, I really
Well,
want to know.
The
'cause
biggest thing,
yeah.
the biggest thing for me is that she's not afraid to speak truth to power, just like Marshall said. And you got a lot of people sitting in Congress that's just happy to go along to get along, that's not doing anything.
They
And in
all ain't
times
doing
like
anything.
these, we always need somebody going to stand up. So, and I'm not saying that just because she's my D9 sister, but when you really look at her compared to others, I mean, she's
I'm
what's
impressed
going
with
on
her.
right now.
I
And
am
the fact
impressed
that
with her.
she's
Yeah.
youthful, and she has a following of the young people, and it's necessary. I mean, we
don't
need
vote.
those people on the front line. We
Who
need
don't
more
vote.
Jasmine. We need more Jasmine Crockett. if you ask
You
me.
might
But
get
if
them
she
in.
doesn't produce any results, she's
Thing.
going to lose.
That's the problem. And
She's
and I
gonna
don't.
lose
I
them.
think that.
But
I
no
think one
one
of our.
person can do it. No one
That's
person. She's part of
that's
a
true.
body. She's part of a
That's
body.
true.
She is, and she's not in the majority either. And I know, but I think this is now the time we start educating our people about how this government works, so that she can be her voice can be really heard. They don't understand. You can't just go in there with the theatrics and look like you're doing something and there's really nothing being done. It'd be nice for them to come back to Black communities and say, hey, what Trump is doing is totally illegal. And that's the part we got to fix. We got to demand that Congress, I live in a red state. And I hear Mark Wayne Mullins, who's a senator, say some of the dumbest things ever that you wouldn't have been able to get away with under the Biden administration, because they respect the law. And that's where we've got to get Jasmine too. She's smart. I'm not going to take that away from her. She says stuff really eloquently, but we need her to be able to go back to the community and educate what's the wrongdoing that we need to fix in the government.
Now, Debbie Klein made this comment. She wears big eyelashes. Okay, that's silly, because that has nothing to do with anything. Okay, don't go there, because I don't want you to mistake that what we're saying about Jasmine has anything to do with her qualifications. She is qualified. Make no mistake about it. She is highly qualified. We are speaking to one another as Democrats and as people that we just want more from our leader, and that's all right. You should say the same thing. If you support Trump, you should be saying the same thing. You shouldn't keep saying that. So
May I say that
Can we go back to the illegal conversation for just 1 minute, because
yes, ma'am.
it feels like all my everybody tapped out on the
Jasmine
thing. No, I'm talking about everybody thinks Black people. Okay, but I'm in New York, so I don't know if you guys get a different perspective from where you are, but it is Black people. You understand? It's Black people. Like the people they are locking up is Black people. It's plenty of Black people. Like it's an excuse to go and grab people, and the people they're grabbing are people of color. So I don't care if those people are Spanish speaking, and I don't care if they came. I don't get I'm sorry. Like living in New York, I am one with my Hispanic neighbors. And then all I'm saying is we are one. We are one. Like like they said, the slave ship. Maybe they dropped us off at a different place, but we won. We won. I just need to say that they picking up Black and brown bodies. Okay, and some of the Black and brown bodies are Americans. Don't get caught up because white people are in the media getting murdered. they got murdered for their proximity to Black people. You see, you give up your white privilege by standing up for people of color. So, it's not their fight. They're in the fight trying to keep Black and brown people from getting scooped up. So it's not about them. It's about us. It's about us, all of us. That's all.
If I may just make one point, there are 67 members of Congress that are Black. There are 62 in the House and 5 in the Senate. If we could just impress upon them how important it is to have them come together on all issues that affect Black people and just hold them to the task. If we could just get their buy-in to speak as one on all Black issues, wouldn't that be something? There'd be a force to be reckoned with.
So Dr. Felicia says Jasmine doesn't need a panel of Black women assassinating her character.
Nobody assassinated her.
Correct.
Yeah, because we all said the same thing. We respect her. We think she is intelligent. She's qualified. However, there's nothing wrong with making a demand on the people that want to lead us. You want my vote? I'm telling you, this is what I need. So she should be okay with that.
Exactly.
And that's the problem with us, is that we don't want to do that, and then we just stuck with people because somebody told us to vote for that person. No, I am making a demand on my vote. I want to know what you're going to do. I love you. I think you're funny. I think you're intelligent, but I want to know what you're going to do. I really do. I want to know, why is it that you keep telling me what Trump is doing and what he can't do, but then I'm watching news and I see that he's doing it. Everything you just said he can't do, he's still doing it. Mm-hmm. Why aren't we, I spoke to this about one of my friends, and they said, well, Ella, the Democrats don't hold the majority, and I'm like, then that means that you got to tighten up your leadership skills to know how to bring people along. Mm-hmm. That's what being a politician is. It's not going to always fall in your lap, so it's nothing wrong, doctor, for us to make a demand. We're not assassinating her character, and I'm not going to let anybody assassinate her character like we just addressed that one person that wants to talk about her lashes. That's some what's that lady, what's her name? The one that quit? Margie?
Marjorie Taylor.
No, because we would get all up in that. I mean, that's not going to be allowed. No, we stand up for our sister. We just want her to. We place a demand on our vote. You don't just you got to earn it. You got to earn it.
Yeah, but I mean, we got Hakeem Jeffries. He's saying nothing, doing nothing.
What about him too? Him too. They can all get it. They can all get it. They can all get it. Him too.
Chuck Schumer is a Zionist. So everything that is happening in Israel, he's for it. I'm just saying, let's frame these conversations about Black leadership around other Black leadership and people that we ain't, like Hakeem Jeffries is a leader, but Chuck Schumer tells him to jump. He says how high. So, and one more example, Mom Donnie, this Democratic socialist. I'm very excited here in New York. We're very excited for this new mayor. And do you know what? We have to get rid of the establishment Democrats. We have to get rid of them because they blew out Bernie Sanders. When Bernie Sanders had a strong candidacy for president, they wanted Hillary. Well, look what happened. This whole situation we're in right now is because they want to stand with Hillary instead of letting Bernie Sanders take the reins, because Bernie Sanders had a campaign that he could have won it. He could have won it. But this is the situation we're in right now because we let establishment Democrats, and yes, some of them look like us, and some of us, whatever. They was all up in the Clinton family eating their shit. And it hurt. Now we hurting right now because we let them do it. But the Democrats aren't even acknowledging this man is mayor of New York. That's a plum position for a Democrat. He could easily move from mayor of New York to mayor straight into the White House. He could. He's young. He's thoughtful. He's smart. And he's got the support of Bernie Sanders and some other low-key Democrats who don't have the courage to come out now, but they've been to New York to congratulate him. But did Chuck Schumer do it? Hell no. Hakeem Jeffries wouldn't even answer. The reporters asked him, "Hey, how you feeling about that Democratic Socialist?" And well, he wouldn't even say congratulations to him. So I'm just telling you that
kind of issues that we need to address. I'm glad you're bringing it up.
Plenty of them. Gotta hit the hay.
So, do you guys agree with this person here? They said that, oh, STFU, you folks are voting Democrat no matter what. Is he right? Is she right? He or she?
I don't vote just Democrat, but I'll say this, especially on the local level. But I'll say this: I do think that the Black voters collectively need to start our own party. I think we got more power in negotiating that way. I really do. I don't think the Democrats are as beneficial as we think they are either. She's talking about Chuck Schumer ignoring the guy in New York.
Correct.
I mean, we've got to create our own party and get our own power.
Okay. Okay, Crystal says Trump does what the Trilateral Commission allows him to do. Bernie Sanders will never be president. Choose a president from the choices that are picked for you. Okay. Listen, I didn't know that we were going to turn into a political thing, but hey, listen, I think it flows that way sometimes here on the Ella Johnson Show. I love all the opinions, though. I like what everybody's saying, even the viewers. Thank you, guys. I'm trying to pull them all up. A politician is a politician at the end of the day. And what does that mean? What does that mean? A politician is a politician at the end of the day. What does that mean, Mark?
They play both sides of the fence.
Ding, 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 ding.
They play.
There it is. And that's why I place a demand on my vote. I want to make you say it. Tell me. You're not going to sidetrack me with the entertainment. We are too old for that. Okay? That may entertain people that aren't watching. I'm seeing what Trump is doing. I see the stuff they're doing. I research. When I read and see that they passed this, I'm like, what does that mean? What does this mean? What does this do for blacks? Those are like my three main questions. And the stuff that comes back to me that responds to those questions is not good. But we so easily entertained. No, it's going to take more than that. That's all we're saying. And everybody should place that demand on your people that's out here, because they're coming. You better believe they're all coming. It's especially midterms. What is it looking like in the midterms, Paris, for Florida?
Well, I think in the midterms, it's a funny thing, but I think that here in our little patch of paradise here in Florida, there's been a rising revolt against some of the things that have been put forth. The Latino community is now back in force, and this is why I agree with the idea of starting our own political party and having a coalition of minorities in that, and that would speak first for us and then for anything else. Okay, because we need someone with clout to really look for us. We can't look to the Democratic Party, and we certainly can't look to the Republican Party. And we need our politicians to stand on principle and not just look to get reelected. Okay, not just be beholden to the folks that can give them the financial means, excuse me, to be reelected. I wouldn't care if I was elected for one term. I'm going to do what's best for my people for one term. And if you vote me out, that's fine. But I'm going to do the best that I can for my people. And I'm going to live by my conscience.
How many people agree with Crystal on this comment? She says, parties don't bring power. Money brings power. Black folks collectively ain't got enough to garner respect. Consider Jewish and Asian people. They have no political. How many people agree with that?
I totally agree, because ain't nobody lobbying for the poor. Nobody's lobbying for the poor. So I agree.
I agree to a degree, but I do think that if we were to create our own party, we are a big voting bloc, especially
Correct.
for the Democratic Party. So if
Correct.
we were to remove ourselves from that party and create our own party, we become a powerhouse at that point. And our votes could be worth a lot of money, but we don't barter our vote either.
Mm.
We just
How do
give it
we?
to the Democrats.
Okay. How should we barter our vote, Heather?
I think we need to make sure that we're at the table, and we're at the table because we're our own party. At that point, they know we're serious. We've removed ourselves from them. We become our own voice. We create our platform and make our demands. And if they don't do right, we won't deal with them again. We can work with both sides at that point, but they need our vote. They definitely need our vote.
I
I
would just add that, Marcia, I agree with you what you spoke about in terms of Mamdani in New York. I think that we're all inspired by that, and you know that 2 years ago he couldn't have gotten himself elected dog catcher. Okay, and he was able to buck the trend and fight the fight. But we can't fight the fight unless you're organized and unless you have integrity. Okay, and we need to focus on that. We need to not just focus on the wealth that is there. Look, it is immense. There's no question about it. But that doesn't mean that we don't fight it. We understand what the odds are, but that doesn't mean we don't fight it. And the way you fight it is by uniting each one, tell one, bring somebody along. That's the way to do it. Because we're not going to do it any other way. We don't have the wealth to go up against these trillionaires, if you want to put it that way, families that are worth $1 trillion. No, we don't have those kind of funds. But what we have is an idea, and what we have is what is in our hearts, and we can make that work.
We can organize, though. What you said,
Absolutely.
I agree with what you said. Organizing is power, and money is an interesting energy to discuss. We have resources and we have money. Obama out organized everybody. See, that's what they're mad about. Understand this whole drama with this character in office is a response to a black man out gaming the system. And I mean, he did it with people giving him $5, $10, $2, and he outraised everybody. So it isn't about the amount of money per se. Everybody doesn't have to be wealthy to make a change. But if everybody gave $5 every month, $10 every month, and 1 million people did it, we would have the resources to get whoever we wanted in office. But it's a commitment. And like I said, Barack Obama organized, Dr. King organized. I mean, the success comes from organized. It doesn't mean everybody agrees, but it means everybody cooperates with some part of the strategy. Whatever your strategy is, agree that you're going to use it to that end. So we need organization. We need that. That's the bottom line. Thank you.
Now, when you
And
say
that makes a
organized,
very
because this
good-
person said,
that makes a very good point, Marshall, because initially when Obama started, he had more white support than black support. We kind of caught on as the process went along. So he from the grassroots perspective, he had more white support and money coming from the white community than the black community. So that makes a very good point.
yeah. And he was able to work with all kinds of people too. Is that what we're missing? Are we missing that?
Missing what now?
Being able to work collectively with other people, other ideas, people that don't agree with us, bring a lot of people to the table and say, hey, look, we all want the same thing. We don't like how this country is going. I know that we're from two different sides of the aisle. However, we need to come to, I mean, I know they do that to a degree, but do we think it's working if they are doing that? Should we do more of that, do you think?
Well, Chairman Fred Hampton figured out how to coalesce with a whole bunch of different groups and unite them. So he figured out how to get pull white people engaged. He figured out how to get Native Americans engaged. He figured out how to get Hispanic people engaged. And so him doing that is what made his death necessary at the age of 21. The government already saw what this young brother could do because he went out and as a Black Panther and organized all these different communities to come together and agree that the government is screwing all of us. Okay, so I think it's foolish for us, not foolish. I don't want to say that. What I mean is, it's not smart for us to try to coalesce and say, well, just us Black people, we're gonna decide. We have to coalesce. We have to figure out what are our priorities and how they can align with other groups, because keeping us separated, that's the whole game. That's the whole game. Keeping everybody separated, because all these whites that voted for Trump, they poor. They are struggling. Many of them are struggling, but they think that they benefit from our oppression. But if somebody could get to them and make sure that they understood, you don't benefit. You still need those food stamps. You don't, you're not benefiting from us. From you don't get money because a Black person doesn't. I mean, that's ridiculous. But again, people who manage to organize large groups of people, those are the people they have to off. Those are the people they have to get rid of. So we gotta be brave enough to find a way to coalesce with other communities.
Guys, the comments are just coming in. I'm trying to stop some of them so we can talk. We have a comment here. It says, now back in 2016, American people were mad about immigration and same-sex marriage. Keep it real. Any comments on that one? I haven't heard from you over there, Terry. What do you think about this? Now back in 2016, this comment.
Yeah, they was upset. Yeah, they was upset. Yeah, they was upset. The media didn't portray it as the people was being upset,
So is this true that the Black Panthers, I know they served breakfast, but they became junkies and went to jail?
Yeah, they got into a lot of trouble afterwards, but they were kind of set up in the end. I did my paper in college over Huey P. Newton. He was actually a smart man. He was an attorney. He went to law school so he could be a better criminal. And a lot of people don't realize, and a lot of people don't even
to
realize.
Be a better criminal? Really?
Yeah, he said that in his book. And,
oh, wow.
And a lot of people don't realize that the reason why you can't take a gun into a federal and a state building has to do with his smartness. He knew that in California, they didn't have a law against carrying a gun into a state building. And so he changed a lot of rules. Not only that, the nutrition program that now exists, the free lunch program, that comes from the Black Panthers. They knew that Black kids wasn't getting fed in the morning. And that's why their test scores were so low. They started feeding kids in the morning. Yeah. But the government went in, penetrated that group, and got them against each other. That's the only reason they failed and he ended up dying in a fight with a drug dealer. They killed him.
They were jealous. They were jealous of the Black Panther being able to do that because it made them look bad. This is what we're supposed to do, is feed the hungry kids. And now they got this organization doing it. They were jealous, as in a lot of things.
Well, the government infiltrated every organization we've ever had, every one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. But to go back to that part about the having money, I think we always have to keep in the back of our minds that Black people are $1 trillion business for the world. We have the money to be able to fund a party. The problem is we don't prioritize where our money goes except for entertainment and having nice things. And that's what we've got to train our people to understand. We need to put our money in places that are going to benefit us for the long run.
Okay. Now we're going to we are almost about to wrap up, guys, but I definitely want to address this. It says, white people ain't your problem. Poor white folks can go to their churches and organizations for help. Black folks can't get a D thing from none of the institutions and organizations they praise.
Well, that's just because of it's because of the building fund in the black church.
The one that they've been doing for 20 years. Yeah.
We should free some stuff up from that. If we could free the funds up from the building fund, we might be able to get something tangible done.
You know, we're laughing, but it's actually sad. It's actually sad.
I know.
Yeah. It's actually sad, and it actually breaks my heart because if you can take like a Greenwood, one thing that I loved in that video, and I watched your documentary, it was very well done, Terry. You guys did an amazing job on it. But one thing I will never forget is the woman that said there was no homelessness. And I love that. And I would love to know how they were able to do that. Was it because they looked out for one another? They took people in that were falling short? Did the church have a lot to do with that? Was it a collective effort? Like, I would love to know how you had a community back in 1920s and there was no homelessness. We should stick a pin in that one and think about that. Like, how were they able to do it, Heather and Terry? I want to know.
I think communal is one way we definitely look out for each other. I'll give you a good example. It's not many. I've gone to a lot of black churches, and there's always some poor white person that the black church takes care of. We are a compassionate community. A lot of white people think that we want revenge and we're bittersweet. I mean, we're bitter and we got some secret war that we're gonna put on them. What has kept our bitterness from going after them is our compassion. We have a lot of compassion, so we're gonna see after each other, and we see after people who have been not that good to us either.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
Well,
we do.
I think the homelessness issue is ownership. I mean, the people over there, they own that land and they own those houses. So maybe that person, maybe the owner, if it was something they were renting or if they were renting, maybe that black person wouldn't put them out because they didn't get the rent that much.
So it all goes back to money.
Yeah, it goes back. Well, it goes back to ownership. It goes back to ownership because, now it's very hard to own a home. It wasn't like when our parents were coming up and they had federal programs. They had the what is it called? Anyway, they had the home ownership programs and they could buy these houses at low prices. We had a lot of veterans. Of course, they were cheating black veterans, but many veterans did get a chance to become homeowners. But I'm just saying, if you own the land and you own the house, and say you and your brother and your cousin built the house you're living in, then how is homelessness going to happen? No matter what your income is, that's your house. That's your land.
Well, one thing, and Terry probably ain't saying anything because he can't talk right now. But I'll say this: one thing I do notice about the history of Greenwood, there were a lot of rooming and boarding houses too. So it was a little bit of affordable space for people who was just one person. And the other thing is too, the wealth that was in Tulsa with the oil, there were jobs, lots of jobs available. And you could hustle and not have a job too.
Right. Crystal says white churches have done a lot for a lot of black folks too. I think we're gonna wrap this show up for there tonight, guys. We're all coming back tomorrow, but I want to give you guys your last words on this. This has been a great conversation. Like, I could actually stay here all night with you guys. Like, I could just. Like, I love talking about this because we can do it without disrespect and we can do it with like-mindedness. And even when we don't agree on certain things, we can still do it with respect. That's what we want, not just here on this show, but out there too. Yeah. We shouldn't be afraid to ask our leaders, what are you going to do for us? How is this going to look for us 5 years from now if we do this? How does this work for us? Because you got people that are telling you all this stuff and they don't have financial problems. Let's not forget that. They don't have financial problems. They don't have to worry about their rent. They don't have to worry about choosing between gas or groceries. So if you're going to lead a people and that is their concern, you need to meet their concern. That's all I'm saying. And I am placing a demand on anybody that is my vote, I don't white or black. And that's just where we're going to leave it. But I want to make sure you guys get a final say. Who's coming back with me tomorrow night? I know Heather's coming back. Who else is coming back with me tomorrow night? Let's not all speak at once. Are you asleep over there? Yes. Listen, we will be back. Heather and I will be back tomorrow. I know Marsha's going to join us on Tuesday.
Terry said he is.
All right, yes. Get him a light. Please get him a light. Heather.
Yeah. Okay.
If you got to go to her house, go. Just get him a light.
I'm hook him up.
You know, I'm messing with you, Terry. That's my boy. I love Terry. He is good people. You guys are lovely. This has been a great show, but I want you guys to get last word. What would you like to say? Paris, Mark.
Mark, you want to take it?
Yes, appreciate the invitation, Ella. This has been a great forum. I really enjoyed it. A lot of information, a lot of history, and I'm looking forward to continuing Black History Month with this group. Thank you for the Thank you for the invite.
Nice. Well, you are welcome. Thank you so much for joining. I'm glad. Paris?
Well, I know that you have many things planned for this Black History Month, and that I think we have the power to make it memorable for all Black people who will tune in and listen. But perhaps one of the things that you could look into as a subject would be, how do we as Black people take the political atmosphere that we have now and make it something that Black people can affect change? Taking what we have, how can we move it? I think, as I mentioned, Marsha, you have a situation in New York that provides quite an example in terms of Mamdani, and I'm looking at it from the standpoint of people of color. How do we get our voices heard politically? How do we hold them to task? Because that, I think, is extremely important. And we can see how that develops over the course of the month, but you, of course, will be the judge of that, Ella. And thank you very much again for having me on tonight.
All right. This person says, stop Black on Black crime. That's a whole, listen, I'm not mad at some of the stuff because I don't agree with Black on Black crime. I don't agree with white on white crime. It happens with both. But for some reason, there's so much emphasis on Black crime. Why is that?
There's a misnomer. It's a misnomer because it suggests that Black people commit more crimes and that we're committing it against one another. Everybody commits a crime in the area where they are. So let's talk about white on white crime. When white people commit a crime, they commit the crime in the area most convenient to where they are.
That is correct.
About poor people. So let's stop poor people from being poor, okay? And let's stop crime at the white collar level. That's where the billions of dollars are being taken. We're getting robbed, we're getting looted by our own government right now. So let's worry about that.
That's correct.
Well, doggone, Marsha, I think
not only that.
Are you ready to go? Girl, you sound like a politician. I feel like I need to vote for you. Like, are you running?
Not
for
only
something?
that, though, statistically, we know who commit most of the crime.
Yes, we do. Let's be real. And I just want to address something too. I saw something today where somebody called us savages. Who were the first savages? I'll let anybody on this panel answer that question. Who brought violence into this country?
Who drug us here was we violently got here. And it was
okay. So let's stop that one. Stop all this. Black people are savages, they're animals, they're criminals, they do crime. Okay, I want y'all, if you don't do nothing else, learn some Black history and know that back in 1920, we did not do that to Tulsa. They did that. They even got the government involved. The government got involved. and bomb this city because they were jealous. Okay, so y'all gonna learn some things tonight too, and this month. So y'all just keep watching. I want everybody to come back tomorrow night. Marsha, did you have something else to say before we get out of here?
Get your hands out my pocket.
Girl, now you know I wasn't ready for that. Okay, that was good. Heather, anything else before we get out of here?
No, I'll see y'all tomorrow.
See us tomorrow. Thank you, Crystal, so much always for coming in and giving us something else to think about. Crystal
Absolutely.
will not let you stay in your thought, won't she? You think you got it figured out. She's like, that's a bunch of BS too. Terry, get her. All right, Crystal, thank you guys, everybody, so much. There's so many comments here coming. I want to pull them up. I want to pull them up here. Thank you all so much. All of you, please come back tomorrow night, same time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Ella Johnson Show. What was that? She said, "Oh, you all right?
Oh, yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
Oh, before we get out of here, I wanted to show your grandmother because you weren't here when we were talking about it. But this is her grandmother, who is a survivor of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. So I put these pictures together like this, and her name, what's her name again?
Ruth Dean Nash.
Ruth Dean Nash. Isn't she beautiful? She was a
Oh,
survivor.
thank you.
Yes. So she shared
That's her
that
in the
with us.
middle. To the left was her mama.
That's her in the middle, and that's her mom to the left. Okay, nice.
Yeah. And that's
See,
her
look.
brother at the bottom with her.
Nice. I love it.
Okay.
Excellent.
Nice. So I wanted to make sure that we show that. And this is from
Thank you.
Ocoee, guys. Where's the picture? This picture right here. See how they acknowledged it here in Ocoee? You see how they actually have a sign that says lynching of July Perry?
Mhm.
Wow.
And they actually talk about racial violence in America. This is all posted down there in Ocoee, guys. They took a lot of stuff because, guys, one thing I want to say too before we get out here, in 1920, they had over 250 people living in Ocoee. From 1930 to 1970, zero. They didn't start coming back until the 80s to the 70s and the 80s.
That is correct.
They were scared to go back. Real talk. So I know that they don't have reparations right now going on in Ocoee, but what they are doing is they're offering like $6,000+ scholarships to anyone that's a descendant
Right.
of the massacre.
Oh, I thought they got. Well, I know I came late to the show, and but I thought that Ocoee had gotten reparations with Rosewood. That didn't happen.
With Rosewood, they did.
No.
Not
Okay.
with Ocoee.
Not with
Oh,
a
I
couple.
thought both got it at the same time.
No, they did not.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, good to know.
They
I didn't
still-
know that. So
they
we need to
still-
work together.
They still praying about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Listen, what is there to think about? Like, I'm just gonna keep it real. What is there to think about? You did them wrong. You took their land. You knew what you were doing. These people were told that they could vote, and then you kept them from voting. You killed them. You wanted them to leave their land so that you could seize their property. Let's be real. Give them pay up. I'm
Yeah.
with you now, Marsha. Pay up. There's no, we're gonna forget. No, pay up. We want our check. Ain't that what Martin Luther King said? I'm coming to get my check.
I agree.
Give me what you promised on paper. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. I know everybody's got to get to their rest, because we got a whole nother show for tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we're gonna talk about what happened with Don Lemon.
Oh.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about what happened with Don Lemon tomorrow night. This ain't nothing new. All right. I know you guys are like, oh my God, that's just something. What they did to Don. No, it's done. It's been done before. And then on Tuesday night, we're going to talk about these FBI raids, right? Y'all see these raids are going into Fulton?
Yep.
Nothing new under the sun, guys. It's all history repeating itself. So that's all coming up on the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time. Y'all have a great evening.
Good night.
You too,
All
sis.
right.
Mwah. I love everybody.
Good night. Good night, everybody.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time.
We are supporters of the Ella Johnson Show. We live in South Korea. We have been watching Ella Johnson's show for like a year now, and we love her show. Her show is very inspirational, motivational, and educational.
If you would like to be a guest on The Ella Johnson Show, send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com or send a text message to 407-334-6997.
We love Ella Johnson Show.